that gut feeling is your values are your intuition made conscious. I mean, one of my phrases that I use a lot is, when you live and act in line with your values, extraordinary things are possible and life works.
Welcome to Trusted Voices, a conversation with leaders, practitioners, advocacy and community managers who believe trust isn't a goal, it's a growth engine, and will empower the next era of B2B marketing. And it's what we call here at Trusted, trust-led growth. And today I'm delighted to be welcoming and be joined by Jo Medwell, executive coach, speaker and author. Our topic of conversation for today is leading with values, the foundation of trust and advocacy. Welcome, Jo. So pleased to have you here in the flesh with us.
Thank you, Emma. It's really, really wonderful to be here.
Brilliant. And like we start with all of our podcasts, we'd love to start with a brand that you're advocating for or want to advocate for in the future.
It's really, really passion and close to my heart is for a real new way of leadership, for leaders to lead from a place of truth and courage and vision, and really step into that, to move away from fear, performance, achievement led, to get into that deeper meaning. I have a real passion within my own brand, my own work, and to see in the wider world that leaders truly step into who they are and their visionary role.
Yeah, I love that, because one thing I detest is management by fear. And I think it stems back to, strangely enough, primary school. And at primary school, our headmaster was ex-army, let's put it that way, quite senior. And he used to rule that school by fear. And actually, when I left that school, I had a freedom, because everyone thought, well, he just restrict learning, actually, because of the fear. And when I was away from that, I felt liberated and can learn better. So that really resonates with me.
That's really interesting. And I would expect that resonates at some level in form for many, many people, because I think we've come up in an inherent patriarchal society where fear, hierarchy has been a traditional ruler, just inbred. And so it's become a natural way for people. And often it's not people's fault that they lead in that way. It's just they've not been shown another way. It's how it's been in the fabric of their being. I get excited when I see, being here with you today at Trusted and the way you're leading your company. It really excites me and gives me hope. So yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jo. Right, so we get into it and learn a lot from you. So you've spent years helping executive teams connect with their values. Can you tell us a little about your journey and what first drew you into this space?
Yeah, I can. Absolutely. My background is leadership and development. I was a global head of leadership and development for banking software over 20 years ago now, which was my last permanent corporate role. And a friend of mine was a coach, and I started to see this different way. It was when coaching was relatively in its early days in the UK, the early 2000s. And learning and development training traditionally was the imparting of knowledge. Coaching was the facilitating, getting the best out of people, and the difference it made. So I signed up to become a coach, went on a whole year's training program initially. And during that program, I got to do work on myself and my own values. And I was then able to bring that back into the company. From where I was working, I was noticing that there was this leadership from the outside in. And it was really the start of the model I use today of leading from the inside out. Who are we really inside on the core of us? What is it that's most important? Our core values. But it was during that coaching program when I discovered my core values. It changed everything for me. And
Can you give an example of a change?
Yeah, absolutely. I was, there was a flagship program that we were rolling out, and I was put on it from the learning and development department because it was a new client, Middle East. And I had to stand at the front of the room. Something wasn't working. I remember the words to this day and say, "This will work when it's live." and I didn't know if it would. That was an amazing company. It was a new product. And I suddenly, in that moment, it wasn't just that one sentence. It
Mm.
made me then question everything. And I suddenly thought, how have I got into software? I'm more about people development. And while I was working with people, I checked into my own values, top value, energy, to an extent, truth. No, I'm not really in my truth. And this was relatively early on in my coaching journey and the discovery of my own values. And connection, yes, some, but not what I want. And so, yeah, it was a massive light bulb moment for me is I'm actually not aligned in this role, in this company. And
Right.
there's only so far I can take this work into the company. So
And what did you do once you
I
had that
engineered,
realisation?
I engineered my own redundancy
Right.
and had a moment of, and that sounds easier than it was because it
Yeah,
took a
yeah.
bit of thinking. And I was actually asked to make 3 people in my team redundant in a team of 6 in the UK. So I put my own name forward and got it rejected. So I wrote a business case while at the same time thinking, what am I doing? And ultimately it went through because if I'd have stayed, the guy under me who was perfect for my role would have under, do we say under? The one who was next in line for the role would
Yeah.
have left. And so it was accepted. And I remember I was living in Canary Wharf at the time. And I remember waking up after I'd left on the Friday, on the Monday morning, and seeing everybody in suits go to work, thinking, crikey,
What have you done?
what have I done? Yeah, I mean, that led on. I mean, one of my phrases that I use a lot is when you live and act in line with your values, extraordinary things are possible and life works. It might not straight overnight, but yeah, it led on to me setting up my own business and ultimately going out to the UAE to be one of the early pioneers of the coaching industry over there. So, yeah.
Fantastic. So that your values did resonate, and then you
Yeah.
took that was quite determined
Yeah.
action to do that and
Yes.
make such a change for the
It,
importance of the values.
it was absolutely and when I saw them in black and white and why I wasn't aligned, I took the steps to put myself forward for redundancy. And then the chairman of the coaching college I'd studied with a few weeks later said, we're looking at the UAE as a possible place for setting up a coaching college. You've worked there because I had quite extensively in my role. Would you come out on an exploratory trip? When are you free? Funnily enough, when do you want me to go? So I did. I put a business case together to say, this is how I think coaching could work here. And whoever's going out there, still, not even thinking it's me. So whoever goes out there, happy to have a chat with them. And I remember it was around about the 19th of December, 2004.
Do you remember the exact date?
I do, because he said to me, what do you mean who's going out there? It's going to be you. I said, what? And he said, let's meet on the 27th. And as I walked out of his office, quite a long corridor, and and that gut feeling inside,
Mm.
we were talking about this earlier. I walked down the corridor and in my mind, I was going Dubai, London, Dubai, London, Dubai,
How did
Dubai,
it sit with
Dubai.
you? Yeah.
And I had the answer by the time I left the building.
Yeah.
And it's that gut feeling is your values are your intuition made conscious. So, yeah,
You said something when you saw them in black and white.
yes.
Shall I take that literally?
Yes, because I think physically that actually seeing them going, okay, for me anyway, we're all different. But when you have got when you've gone through a values process, which
Hmm.
we'll probably come on to this, but I'm not an advocate for people going, oh, I'll have this one and this one and this one. There's a really deep process to get them out from inside of you. But once you've gone through that and looked at what they mean to you and the priority you place on your values to actually go, okay, does this meet my value of truth and what truth means to me? Yes, it does. And it gives you that clarity and confidence and safety to say, this does meet all my values. And the one that I had a question mark on was connection and love, were the two, because of my connection and love with my family. And I worked through that to, okay, how do I keep the connection and love in a different way?
Yeah.
And am I okay with that? And it worked well. So
And you spend a lot of time helping teams, helping organizations, if anyone's wondering, to discover their values.
Yes.
Because it's not a not necessarily a simple exercise.
No.
It does take time. It does take a lot of
Mm,
reflection. I know from a few years ago of doing the
yeah.
work with you, but it's very, very powerful. Yeah.
Yes.
When you understand your values and what triggers them, or from a positive and a negative point of view.
Yeah, absolutely, because it does give us that deeper clarity of who we are. We might think we know, and it's one of those questions you get asked a lot, or you hear the phrase "be true to yourself."
Mm,
Well, who am I? And
yeah.
often we've got to strip away who we're not. And I think when we get into the values and of look at what's really important, what brings us alive, what drains us, they're all ways in to get to the words or phrases that, yeah, that's me.
Mm,
And then it's not enough to just have them. It's are you working and operating in alignment with them? Because we can be feeling out of sync if we're not in line with our values.
yeah.
We're human. We don't all operate in every single value every single day. But I think when you've got them and you can keep referring back, going, okay, do I need to fine tune, bring myself back in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really powerful. And you've written, and I know we got the book here, and I have actually read it quite a few years ago. It's under your married name, Jo Simpson, but
Yes.
not Jo
Yeah.
Medwell, but it's still you.
It's
It's
still
called
me.
The Restless Executive. Would you just like to share what prompted writing of that and what people can get out of that?
What prompted my writing was most of my clients were restless.
Hmm. At the
And
leadership level,
at the leadership level,
yeah,
there was a restlessness. And the restlessness, I believe it's a gift because it's a message to say, well, why are you restless? What's going on?
mm,
Something's out of alignment. And often you would see a very successful leader, but something not quite in alignment. But not done the values work. So that restlessness is truly a gift. And often there was I'm very ambitious, I'm successful, I've got the achievements, but this meaning piece, what is it for? What am I about? And how can I show up in an even better way or a more powerful way, depending on what that was. And in my own journey, I went through the restlessness phase as well.
yeah,
And I look back and I was restless in the last role I was in, but it's that not being able to put your finger on it. And the
mm,
values work does enable you to clarify, I say quite quickly after you've spent the time doing the
yeah.
deeper work.
Did you write this before COVID?
I did.
Yeah,
2016 it was published.
yeah. I was going
2015.
to say it's a long
2015.
time ago.
Yes.
I think people since COVID, I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
right or wrong, or if you're discovering that now, are questioning their lifestyle, questioning their life values, maybe questioning this restlessness. Do you feel more
I
so, and it's more prevalent?
I
Um,
really, really do.
yeah,
And I've seen it in the clients that have come to me since. And quite a few clients who already think they've done values work. As soon as we start it, oh, it took me 10 minutes. And I'm
yeah,
like, no, it's going to take a few sessions to
yeah,
really
yeah,
ground who you are. But I think there's been I mean, the world's gone through massive change. It was a catalyst to so many things
yeah,
and invited the deeper question, what is important to me? Life is precious. Things can change in a heartbeat. And who am I? And why am I here? We could take it to that deeper level. Those are probably the two questions that human beings run at some level, shape, or form under everything else.
yeah,
And I do think since COVID and the lockdowns that people question
yeah,
a lot more.
a lot
Yeah.
more. So, Jo, when leaders align with their values, how do you feel that ripples through their teams? But I'm particularly interested the impact it has on their customers.
Absolutely. And I think to just start with the leadership and teams, because when you have each and every person in the teams, in the leadership, engage themselves with their own values and their team and company values, it's alive and active. So it's naturally felt by the customers and
Yeah,
it becomes in everything that is said and done, it's shown, it's felt, it's yes, this is the customer can look at the company and say, this company do what they say they're going to do, their energy. And I think that I'm quite key on the what's not said and the feeling,
Yeah.
because I think it's really important for a customer to have a feeling. This feels good. Not quite sure exactly why, but it feels good. Well, this company, they really bring that to life, and this is one of their values, and they really live that. And it's maybe with your own values in Trusted, we could bring a couple of those in.
So we publish them on our website so everyone can see. And one of the ones I'll just pick on two, actually. One is no egos, just action. And I think that comes down to what we need to deliver, fantastic customer experience. And if, a client shouts as such, if a client needs something doing, it doesn't matter who we are, forget the ego, let's just get it done. And I think that stems from starting off my career in sales, where you just have to listen to that customer and act. And I think I'm probably one of the most impatient person when a customer asks for something. Let's just action it. Let's do it now. And that sort of ripples through the company. So our other value I love is dare to disrupt, be guided by the art of possible. So I think we need to be doing that. And there's a lot of disruption in the market. So we can't just sit back and watch it. We have to action that as well. And we put in this meeting we call Trusted Untamed, which is half an hour every other week, just to bring anything that excites you, any innovation you've seen, anything you're jealous of. I wish we were doing that. And it ends up running for more than half an hour because the conversation, the energy, as you touched on, is there. The ideas flow and it sparks another idea.
I mean, how long have we known each other? 12, 13 years-ish since we started working together.
Yeah.
And I obviously had seen your values on your website, but hearing you speak about them, see, that's where the energy is. And I also see Emma in those values. It's like, this isn't just for our company. This is both of those that you've shared is what I've witnessed and observed in you over the last 12, 13 years.
Yeah.
So, and that's really is truly bringing the leading from the inside out. This is who I am. It's come into the company.
You can't ignore them.
No.
Otherwise, I'm not me, or the company's not.
Well, you'd be surprised
who we all
that
represent.
some companies think, oh, I'll have that one, that's going to look good. It comes that way. And it's lovely and refreshing too.
So let's look at the final question about the connection between trust and values. Markets become more transparent and customers more discerning. Do you think values will influence who customers are prepared to advocate for now?
I'm obviously biased and I am going to say yes. And I think it's the lived experience of the values. It's what's felt and the energy and the trust. And ultimately, to have authenticity is to live in line with your values. So it might be that somebody's not going, hey, what are your values? I need to see them. For me, it's not at that level. It's the seeing, the feeling. Is this company, is this leader doing what they say they're going to do? Do they act with who they say they are? And how do I feel? I think the feelings that people receive from interacting with a leader, a company that are living their values is absolutely at the unsaid level, and it's vital. So I do believe that they are a huge part because it keeps the humanness in this vast explosion of technology and AI that we're having at the moment, which is great for data. But to bring the human wisdom and integrity, it has to be values.
Yeah, lovely. And as we like to end our podcast, do you have a recommendation of someone you'd like to see on our show next, or a recommendation of a book or a fantastic podcast? What would you like to recommend?
I'm actually going to recommend one of my all-time favourite books, in addition to my own. So we've already talked about that one. Yeah. But Michael Singer's The Surrender Experiment. And what I love about this book and a couple of his other books, but this one in particular, is it's his own true story of a 30-year journey of surrender. And by surrender, it's a conscious letting go. He wanted to live a life just sitting in the woods, meditating, and ultimately built a community and a billion-dollar software business for medical packages by saying yes to what life presented him. So it wasn't, I've got a 5-year, a 10-year, a 20-year plan. It's, I'm going to see what shows up and go with it and let it unfold. Now, it wasn't without its challenges. I think that's a huge lesson. And whenever I'm needing a point of reset in my life, as well as my own work, it is his work that I go to. And I'm like, I have to surrender this. But it's really not a passive surrender. It's a conscious, okay, let's just let this play out. Let's see what shows up. Then how do I feel? Then how do I feel? It's quite a liberating read.
Well,
And
sounds
recommend
brilliant.
that.
Thank you. And thank you, Jo, for being with us on Trusted Voices. Really appreciate a different conversation, sometimes than we normally have, but hugely valuable in itself. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emma. I've absolutely loved our conversation and great to be in touch again.
Yes. Just to remind everyone, thank you for listening to our podcast and as part of our value exchange for doing so. If you want to check out where you are in terms of your advocacy maturity, we have a maturity model that you can take, and the link will be below, or just head to thetrusted.io.